Anger growing in the streets of Beirut 6 days after a deadly explosion. Some protesters lobbing Molotov cocktails at security forces, while others attempt to scale a security wall to get inside the parliament buildings. The large crowds were demanding the resignation of Lebanon's government, and those calls were answered Monday, with the country's leader making the announcement on national TV. Today we follow the will of the people to hold accountable those responsible for this disaster that's been hiding for 7 years, says the outgoing prime minister. I'm announcing today the resignation of this government. May God protect Lebanon. The outgoing prime minister blamed the politicians who preceded him for Tuesday's blast, claiming that corruption in Lebanon is, quote, bigger than the state. Parliamentary leaders will now need to select a new prime minister who will ultimately be tasked with responding to the disaster. Nearly half of Beirut was damaged when 2,700 tons of improperly stored ammonium nitrate exploded near the city's port. The death toll has now risen above 200, with more than 100 others still missing. Among the youngest victims, a 2-year-old Australian toddler. The child's family says they're heartbroken by the sudden and tragic loss of their beautiful boy. An estimated 200,000 people are now homeless or living in buildings with blown-out windows and doors. The explosion further magnifying an economic crisis that's been growing for years. The World Health Organization is now scrambling to provide support.
WHO immediately sent surgical and major trauma supplies. We released funds from the contingency fund for emergencies. And our staff are on the ground supporting the assessment of the impact.
World leaders and international organizations have already pledged nearly $300 million in emergency humanitarian support for Beirut. Now here in Canada, our government has pledged $5 million in relief support, but that aid will be delivered through trusted humanitarian partners, a sign of the global distrust for Lebanon's now former government. Melissa Duggan, City News.